I'm really having a hard time starting this video. I'm not too sure where to go with it, so let me just start with the normal intro. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Marriage Lab. I made another video where I was talking about a bunch of different things, where I've been, number one. But there was something else that I did want to talk about. I have not even to be truthful here, I've had this internal struggle with I guess understanding God and my faith and where that has come from and then gone and then where it is now. I don't know, I've just had this really rough struggle with conceptualizing where I am, where I was, and like where do I go from this point forward. And to be completely honest with you, I it's something that has been racking my brain for probably the last month and a half, something like that. And it's not to say that has caused me to not get out any videos or anything like that. It's just something that I've had a struggle with, because internally I want to be the best man I can be. And I've come to terms with where I was anyway the past couple of years, that I can't be the best man I can be without God. And it's interesting because, and I don't want to turn this like into like a sermon or anything like that. It's just talking to y'all about where I've gone and what I've been through a little bit and where I am now. Back in the day, I was in church. I was the kid who, even the pastor and his wife was like, I want you to be, my daughter's husband, like stuff like that. Like I was that kid in church. And I went from that to realizing somewhere down the line, even though I was going through all that, even though I was that kid in church, I really didn't understand where I was or who I was supposed to be. And that struggle with my internal processing of my mental struggles of who I was supposed to be, it didn't mesh with what I thought I should be doing at the time. And it wasn't that I was a bad kid, it was just a lot of it felt judgmental to me, and I didn't understand it. And nobody, I don't know, maybe I didn't ask the questions correctly, but nobody really explained it in a way that I could understand. So I ended up pulling away from church, that as well as some other things that happened within the church. There's always something going on in the church, right? But all of those things culminated into where I went, and I pulled away from church. I pulled away from religion, as well as, when I got deployed to Afghanistan. A lot of that really kind of set me on this path. While I was in Afghanistan, I read, I don't remember if I read the whole book of Proverbs, but I liked Proverbs because it was actionable. And that's the thing about us men, like we like things we can act upon. Like if there's something in the Bible that gives us the opportunity to act, like this is a list of things that you should do or could do or should be, then act upon these things. And I came to the conclusion that all I needed to do was be a good person. And I'm learning now, as my curiosity, crescendos, there's a lot of things that are showing me, God is showing me, that it's not just about being a good person. It's also not just about doing good things. because what is it? Faith, or is it good works without faith? Is, I don't want to quote wrong, but I'll put the quote up here if I can remember to do that. But it's just really making me realize that I was missing a lot of things, and I was taking that responsibility, that opportunity. I was taking, I was trying to still, and I still do it, put myself behind everything that happens to me, which is now that I know that's wrong. Not to say, of course, the things that happen to me won't be my fault if I do something, but as far as if something happens and it seems somewhat miraculous, let's say, then, or if something happens, I would say, hey, give yourself credit. And I'm like, well, you want to give God credit, because as Christians, we're supposed to live in his kingdom and his goodness, and we have to give him credit for that goodness, which is still something. I promise you, this isn't me like preaching or whatever. This is just me kind of talking through my thoughts and everything that I've been thinking. And that's one of the things that I've been struggling with. One of the other things that I've been struggling with is also putting in the work. I was doing the work that seemed, I don't want to say easy, because it wasn't necessarily easy, but easy for me. And I wasn't really doing the things that I should be doing. I feel like I've had a calling to do something like this in this space with YouTube. I've learned photography, I've learned videography, I've learned editing. I know how to do all this stuff. Like, if y'all saw my desk right now, it's crazy. And it's interesting because even talking about it, I get excited, and I'm like, everything that I've done has happened or been given to me. Here we go. Has been given to me. I've been given the opportunity. I've been given the gift to do certain things, and I keep messing it up, and I take responsibility for that. I'm messing it up because I keep doing things I shouldn't be doing. I'm playing a bunch of video games, watching a bunch of YouTube, and watching, like, I like anime. That's my thing. I'm doing all of these things, not realizing that I have a calling for something greater than what I'm doing, and I keep going towards that thing and not fulfilling it sufficiently. So that's why I'm here today with this video, just to talk about that. The last thing I want to talk about is I had a dream a couple of months back, and I don't know, I'm kind of skeptical with sharing certain things, but I think this is something that I should share. It's something that I've been allowing myself to be led back to God. And I had this dream where I was in the woods. I was walking. It was me and my wife, and I saw this figure in it wasn't a hood, but it was a robe. And it's interesting because now that I'm thinking about it, the person, I'll say that, and you'll see why, they didn't really step onto the land. It's more like, I don't know, it was like the softest step I'd ever witnessed in my life. It was really interesting. But I stepped over this log, me and my wife stepped over this log, and I see from my peripheral somebody walking, and they walk behind a tree. And then as I look at them, their face changes, and it changes several times over. It goes from, black to Hispanic to Asian to white to Arabic. It just keeps changing. It's very, not to say ambiguous, like you can see each individual character, but you can't, like, every time you consciously look, the face is different. And they turn and kind of do like a side smirk and keep walking. And in my mind, I knew, I'm like, yo, that's God. God is showing me. I was walking through the woods. We were walking through the woods. God is showing me that even though I'm in the woods, even though I'm lost, he's still here, subtly guiding me in the right direction. And man, that dream was crazy to me, because it's not something I like consciously think about all the time, or was consciously thinking about all the time. I just opened myself up to be allowed to be led. And something that I heard before is that I think Myron Golden is his name. He said you have to have faith to believe, because you can't believe without faith, or something to that effect. And I think all this time I've been trying to believe without being faithful. And I think it's time for me to start trying to be faithful so that I can believe. Yeah. That's it for this one, y'all. Thanks for listening in. If you got anything to comment, I guess drop a comment down below, but that's going to do it. I hope you guys have a good one. Stay blessed. Peace.